האורחת הבאה שלנו היא דוקטור פיאמה נירנשטיין. היא עיתונאית, בעלת טור, סופרת ופוליטיקאית יהודייה איטלקייה. פיאמה נולדה וגדלה באיטליה וגם שירתה בפרלמנט האיטלקי, הייתה סגנית יושב ראש ועדת החוץ של הפרלמנט מטעם מפלגת הימין של ברלוסקוני. במסגרת הזאת פיאמה גם עמדה בראש הוועדה לחקר האנטישמיות של הפרלמנט האיטלקי. ופיאמה, כשאנחנו חשבנו על הכנס הזה, רצינו מישהו שיוכל לתת לנו מבט רציני ואמיתי על מה שקורה באירופה, מבחינת מעמדה של ישראל, מבחינת האנטישמיות ביבשת הזאת. ופיאמה, בגלל הרקע שלה, זה פשוט, הבן אדם, אם היו אומרים לי, תעשה כתבה על מה שקורה באירופה, הייתי מתקשר לפיאמה, לקבל ממנה איזשהו נקודת מבט מהשטח. זה בדיוק סוג האנשים שלא, היא לא מדברת לנו תיאוריות ולא דברים שהיא קראה בכל מיני מקומות, זה דברים שהיא חוותה, ראתה, זה קרבות ומלחמות שהיא ניהלה עבור העם היהודי, עבור היהדות באיטליה ודברים שהיא עשתה, ובאמת מגיע לה מחיאות כפיים. אנחנו, בין היתר, פיאמה כתבה 20 ספרים בנושאי יהדות, אנטישמיות, אסלאם, ושלל הנושאים שקשורים בזה, רובם כמו שראיתי באיטלקית לצערנו.
לא, גם באנגלית.
גם באנגלית.
אז הוא גם
אולי יגיע הזמן גם למשהו בעברית, אבל זה...
הלוואי, כן.
ואפילו ג'רוסלם פוסט הכתיר אותה ב-2011 כאחת מ-50 היהודים המשפיעים ביותר בעולם, ואנחנו זכינו שפיאמה עלתה לארץ והיא גרה בירושלים, והיום היא עמיתת מחקר במרכז הירושלמי לענייני חוץ וביטחון, והיא כותבת ב-JNS, ואנחנו שמחים מאוד שהיא הגיעה אלינו לספר לנו בעצם מה קורה באירופה, היבשת שכולנו מאוד מאוד אוהבים לטייל בה, אבל ככל שהזמן עובר, יותר ויותר מאיתנו מעדיפים שלא לגור בה. אז פיאמה, בבקשה, תודה רבה.
תודה. תודה רבה, המילים הם באמת מאוד יפים. אני קצת מתביישת עכשיו, אחרי ששמעתי כל כך הרבה על עצמי, באמת, תודה רבה. הייתי רוצה לדבר עברית מההתחלה עד הסוף, אבל באמת זה קשה מדי, אז אני אדבר אנגלית, אם לא אכפת לכם, אוקיי? לא, איטלקית, אני אדבר איטלקית. באמת, אני אדבר אנגלית, אם לא אכפת לכם. אוקיי, so, okay, it's a long time that I'm working about anti-Semitism. Many years ago, after having worked a lot with Robert Wistrich and Lemazali, also with Bernard Lewis, I wrote books that were called already The Betrayal. One was called The Betrayal, as simple as that. The abandonment, actually, l'abbandono. And the other one was already called the democratic the anti-Semitic democratic. That was the title. And I've been going on this road, just arriving all the time at the same point. And the point is, nowadays, after so many centuries of first religious anti-Semitism and then racist anti-Semitism, we have arrived to the anti-Israeli anti-Semitism, which has conquered all the world and has taken the shapes that it has today. So I've been working about it for so many years, and I try to raise a sense of alarm and a sense of knowledge about the fact, but believe me, I never thought that we would have arrived where we have arrived today. And so I must tell you, as the first thing that I want to communicate to you is that it's not anti-Semitism, it's a war. It's a war nowadays against the Jewish people and against Israel. And so, being this a war, I must denounce the fact that about anti-Semitism there is still a conception going on in Europe, which says anti-Semitism can be sometimes related to criticism of the state of Israel, sometimes can be related to prejudice that do not understand that it must be never again. No, 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 all of this is over. We are no more at this point. We are in a situation where we are assisting to the perfect storm in Europe about Judaism and about the state of Israel. And this perfect storm has been created by the fact that the globalist, leftist conception of the world that has grown since the time of the Soviet construction against the state of Israel has become all along these tens of years something different, something which nowadays you call woke. And the perfect storm is created by this, with the meeting in Europe with immigration, with the Islamic immigration. So we have these two things coming together, these two big phenomena coming together that are now designing what can be called a real danger. I read just 2 days ago, and then I answered with an article that you can find of JNS, that is my newspaper here in Israel, by Albanese. You know who is Albanese? Yes, that Albanese. I don't want to stop about her name. That makes me nervous. She says in an interview that Il Corriere della Sera did to her that they asked her about Rabin. So Rabin, leftist, that was the father of the Oslo agreements and whatever, and she should have said something nice. They wanted to abstract for him the idea that she doesn't hate the Jews, that she doesn't hate Israel. She hates Netanyahu because this is understood. Well, the thing that she did, she answered like this. Yes, sometimes actually Rabin expressed some feeling about the occupation of 1967, but there is something much more important than that, and it is the occupation of Zionism in the land that was once called, quote unquote, that once was called Palestine. So I answer with the article that you can read. I won't answer now because you don't need anything about this. So what I want to say is this. The immense crowd that followed this ignorant, idiot, hateful point of view are masses of young Israel haters, are an amorphous crowd of dead men walking. When I say this, they are remote controlled. That's the important thing to understand nowadays. It's no more a debate. It's no more a debate. It's something that has changed completely. They hide themselves under the idea of human rights. And then if you talk to them about the global attacks against Christians, about the ethnic and religious massacres in Asia and Africa, if you talk to them the fact that in Gaza girls are married when they are 10 to 40 years old, men, the ethnic rape campaigns, mutilated in Paris and in London by excision, homosexuals murdered in Gaza, hanged in Tehran, lynched dissidents shot in public squares without trial nowadays, things that we see every day. They don't give a damn. So how do you explain that? How do you explain that? It's very hard to explain because the things that you will really see, it's something else. You will see a lady in Paris, in London, in Rome, wherever, that when they saw, now there are less, but when they saw the pictures of our Hatufim on the walls, they just ripped them out. And particularly, this is something that Melanie Phillips notice. They did it with the portraits of the Biba's children and their mother. And this says it all. So let's try to explain that. Yes? Allora, Europe is in a state of panic. The future lacks completely daily prospect because of the demographic fall. You know that in Italy it's now below the 1%. What can these people understand of life? They don't even have one child. You know that they bring dogs in a stroll. I see it all the time when I go to Italy. Economic stagnation creates unemployment. The crisis of European bureaucracy, huge bureaucracy, together with the rise of artificial intelligence, is producing a big crisis of the unions, so they don't feel defended anymore. American abandonment creates a crisis via tariffs, you know. Trump's disdain, which is shown all the time, breeds anger and paralysis. The risk of war is real and embodied by Putin, while the need to form an army is a cry without a clear path. They discuss about doing an army. At the European Union, it's a discussion that you find every day, and they never come to a conclusion, because an army is an ugly thing. So they want an army, but they cannot have one, because for them an army is disgusting. So on one side they want it, on the other side they find it abominable. So there is no, the commercial route to China has failed. It was created by Merkel, and she courted the Chinese market, and left the Chinese roads full of Mercedes and Volkswagen. You see a lot now of them, and then it's over. It's done. I mean, the market was filled up, and the Chinese said, "Thank you very much. We are done with that." This ended while Merkel's policy of admitting 1 million immigrants backfired and created further panics. Ecco. So the answer to the question posed by the title, if Europe is finished, yes, Europe is largely finished. Yes, and it mirrors, this is very important, this mirrors the attitude of Europe to our 2 years war. They have melted during these 2 years. They have melted in the squares, they have melted with their position, they have melted becoming idiots all along the street, just putting the truth upside down. Ecco. Because, first of all, the EU rejection of Jewish sovereignty embedded in its basic definition, because the European Union cannot accept sovereignty. It's the big question, of course. It was created to overcome sovereignty, no? So it cannot understand the Jewish people's sovereignty to its land, bans national sovereignty, considered borders a past heritage, and this, in these 2 years, has been added to the taboo of war. Europe assigns to war only a Catholic communist negative meaning. It no longer recognizes that there are just and even necessary wars of defense, and that a country like ours can add rather than subtract from the morality of its choices, when it finally understands that sometimes one must live beyond mere pursuit of well-being. So here comes an episode that I have frequently told. Maybe some of you have heard it. I was teaching the history of the Middle East. By the way, it's history of the Middle East, my expertise. It's not Europe. Europe is my experience, and the other is my expertise. So I taught the history of the Middle East at the Lewis University in Rome, and the students were astonished by the history of our wars, because we always win. How come? It was something really surprising. So I was trying to explain them why we win. לא בגלל הכוח, בגלל הרוח. As I tried to explain them just this point, בגלל הרוח. And I asked them, excuse me, חברים, if your mother was in danger in her home, wouldn't you run to the front with a gun? Just please raise your hand if you would do something like that. Not one hand was raised. At least they were honest. Not one hand was raised. And this mirrors, bringing it to our time, what happened immediately after the 7th of October when the Belgian minister De Croo and Spain Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, together with Josep Borrell, of course, who was the one that said, if you remember, doesn't come in a vacuum, because this must be put in a frame, that the thing that he said doesn't come in a vacuum. That's another story. They went to the border of Gaza. I don't know if you remember the thing. To me, that was a shock. They put their platform, stood on the platform, and in front of the platform, instead of saying something about the fact that this was a just war, we just entered the war after the incredible slaughter that we suffer. Well, these two guys started immediately to ask for a ceasefire, immediately requested not to go to Rafah, and whatsoever. What was that? That was a denial of reality. Exactly like the children that said, I will not go to the border. They don't go to the border. They cannot go to the border. They don't do it. Now, look, Europe is not all like this. There is Hungary, Austria, the Netherlands, Poland, Czech Republic, Visegrad countries. If I can have some water, I would be delighted. And they have brought an important discussion inside the European Union. So I don't dismiss at all their value. It is extremely important. Hungary, that has resigned from the ICC because of what they have done to us, it's really, thank you so much. I appreciate that with all my heart. But the magnitude of what is happening there doesn't find a comparison in what is happening in this country. They are growing. They show all over. There are big signs in France, for instance, and also in Belgium, and in England under the carpet. And Italy is a right-wing country. I mean, yes, I know that Europe is giving signs of good sense, but it's not enough compared to what we are seeing today. Because what we are seeing today is just the consequence of what Gramsci called the hegemonia. The hegemonia that is still on Europe, it's still the hegemonia of the left-wing culture that possesses everything. They possess the theaters, the cinema, the newspapers, the televisions, the universities, the book, whatever. If you go now to a bookstore, you will find on the front line Ilan Pape. Would you believe it? Yes, it's true. And the woman, it's true. And the woman that kicked out from her pizzeria in Naples, maybe you read about that, some Israeli tourist saying, you go away from here, I don't give you my pizza. Then she was filmed at a demonstration holding a book of Pape. She was saying, because I learn what is really the story. I know what the story is. It's the same story. Believe me, I understand that I'm telling you something that is really disconcerting and not amusing at all. But this is what is happening today. And the other two books that are now in Italy bestseller, they are books written by Jewish writers that are just like Pape. One is called Anna Foa, names says it all, and the other is Gad Lerner. They are both bestseller, and they are in big piles. You can find them in front of my books. You don't see them anymore. They have disappeared. And also I know of a very good writer, a friend of mine who has been also the editor of La Repubblica. He had offered his book to print to a very important press house in Italy. They canceled it. This is the situation. They cancel it as they cancel the performance of scholars in the universities, of singers at the opera, they tried to cancel in Paris a few days ago Tchaikovsky because the orchestra, it was the orchestra of Tel Aviv, not something small. They say that they wanted to cancel it unless the director would present himself in front of the public and would declare that his prime minister was the police was searching for his prime minister after the ICC declared him a criminal. This is what they asked them. There is a cartoon called the dog Pimpa, La Pimpa. I gave it to both of my children to read as the first cartoon that you give them. It came out in a stripe now. You know, it's an adorable little dog that teaches the children what is good and what is bad. And until today, I trust it, okay? Now it came out in a stripe where today Pimpa says, I dreamed of a world in which Israel doesn't exist. I am sorry, I could continue with this episode for other 3 hours, even more. You know, now, how come that these people doesn't see what they are doing, what is happening? Because first of all, they should admit the fact that they follow evil instead of good. See what Greta Thunberg did, the Swedish, when she came here with the first flotilla. They stopped the flotilla and gave her food. She was smiling at the food, and then they said to those people, please, come and see what they have done to us. Sit, we will show you the film of the 7th of October. They refused. Didn't you know that? Did you know that? Greta Thunberg refused to see it. This is the general attitude. It's the cultural attitude. It's not an idiot that doesn't want to see what is true. It's a full society that, because it's under that concept of hegemony, you must be anti-Israeli, anti-Semite to be part of the contemporary European civilization. If you want to be invited by your friends for dinner, you have to be part of this culture. And, you know, I'm minimalizing. I'm not making it big at all. It's just the opposite is true. So even if the right-wing parties gain seats in 2024, they failed to halt the drift because the cultural structures overpower politics. And I tell this to you that are a group of intellectuals that are really working around the issue of the conceptia all the time. And conceptia is everything, is cultural overpower on the society. Ora, the EU is a model of uncertain alliances that elevated Ursula von der Leyen, and it's divided within itself, and gave a pitiful display during this wall, despite October 7 having exposed what they should know, the jihadist violence that is showing all over Europe there. Ecco, you know, it's now again rationalizing what's going on. Exactly, this Gadi said that. The prestigious academics and politicians rationalized Nazism at the time as a response to inequalities or political contexts, making it an understandable outcome. The EU seems tailor-made for this. I served 5 years in the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, and I can testify the inner blindness attacking its own civilization converges from two different drives. One is opportunism toward the Muslim, and the second is a bureaucracy that defends itself. It's a deep state, hundreds, thousands of functionaries that in a labyrinth of corridors stay still for a basic thing, and I will tell you now what it is. Territories. Territories. They have a fixation about territories. Territories and mitnachalim. Why that? Because it's a mirror that, when enlarged, brings you to the main conception of all the territories. It goes from the conquer of the territories in 1967 to all of our territories, because at the moment when you, following the drive that was imposed at the time of the Soviet Union, and then grew a lot in the 60s and in the 70s and in the 80s, considering Israel a colonialist, racist state, then you arrive to the conclusion that when you speak about territories and you say the word illegal, no, isn't it illegal territories? Also, Israel is illegal from their point of view. It's all illegal. You don't have to think that nowadays a politician will stand up and say, first of all, I want to make sure that the existence of the State of Israel will be preserved. No, nobody says it anymore. It's gone. It's over. Doesn't exist nowadays. Now, European hostility to Israel mirrors its denial of Western culture. Like a revealing portrait of Dorian Gray, its real decrepit face is anti-Semitism. It's coming out. Hatred of Jews that dates back to the Crusades and earlier. Europe decides over centuries to kill, expel, and forcibly convert the Jews. Even while marvelous art and churches rose in Florence and Rome, Galileo Galilei, Giordano Bruno, Campanella, even not Jews, they were condemned, they were burned alive. Great artists died in misery, and like Caravaggio, they were kicked out because they did not conform to the European culture that was imposed. So it is today. What I want to say is that Europe has committed suicide many times already, trying to take the Jewish people with her. That's the story. After World War II, even though a post-war interval promised change when the left welcomed Jews in resistance ranks and socialist Zionists found common cause, the fracture reemerged. The Progressive Front, the skillfully framed Israel as imperialist and racist 1975, found a lot of success. The occupation theme became the epicenter of their team, and the European community relations were framed by socialist and social democrats fraternities that sympathized with Israel. But there was a radical turn when Olof Palme, and Arnold Lord has written about that, when Olof Palme, Willy Brandt, and Bruno Kreisky tied Europe to the PLO and made the Palestinian a European banner. Kreisky famously embraced Arafat and disparaged Zionism. His government even included SS officials. That trajectory deepened. Europe radicalization against Israel coincided with the Oslo process. It's just the same years, you know. It just goes up to the 92, it arrives there. And peace, the first rhetorics, often ignored terrorism and fed Israel with critics. Terrorism was just, you know, these were the years then there were the worst terrorist attacks in Europe, included Monaco, München, and whatever else you might think about. That was the year when in Rome, in 82, the synagogue was attacked and the child was killed while about 50 people were wounded. The great terrorism found even underground agreements with the governments, with the European governments, that asked them to spare their citizens while giving free access to hunting the Jews. That's a true story. Now it's coming up and up again. So it happened in England, it's happened in Italy, it happened in Austria, it happened in many different countries. And now we are surprised at what they are doing to us. Okay, so now I'm going straight to the conclusion. I think I spoke a lot, did I? I want to tell you something. There are now two campaigns of destruction of Israel. One is a more politically modulated strategy by elites, governments, and institutions. Macron warning Netanyahu not to weaponize accusation of anti-Semitism, while today, I'm speaking about today, just Hayom, he met Abu Mazen again after what he has done all over this, and they are preparing a roadmap toward the Palestinian state. Is there any logic in that? You won't find any logic in that, you know. It's just one logic. It's a subtext. It's the subtext that says, look at me. If you want to vote me, I am with you masses that are occupying the square. I am against Israel. That's a subtext. And it's very much present. It's like Mamdani. They will use the Mamdani card. The Mamdani card is to use the anti-Israeli attitude to gather the crowds that in the streets now in Europe just shout from the river to the sea, which are plenty. So this is the non-aggressive, politically modulated strategy. And then there is the fact, and this is totally new, I will jump because it's too long, that beating the Jews became very practical, While I was writing all of my books, they were not beating the Jews. Now they do. Now they wait for the Jews out of the university and beat them. They just wait in the ghetto of Rome and they look for fighting. They just present a face of aggression, push the Jewish out of the schools. It has become concrete, has become muscles. It has never been like this after the Second World War. It has been anti-Semitism, it has been theoretical, it has been cultural, it has not been beating, shooting, and knife. It was not like this. Now you have all of this. We have pistols. We have killing of the Jews. There have been sometimes, of course, but now it's a mass event. Ecco. So now I will conclude saying something encouraging. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I am extremely optimistic. I am totally optimistic. No, I am. No, because to the denounce of what they are, here comes the point of what we are. We are the winners. I mean, we are the winners because we are in front of this tsunami. We are able to concentrate on ourselves, to understand who we are. And even in Rome and in London and in France, you will not see that they are doing steps back. Of course, they are the traitors. But I haven't seen, there is something that I would like to see more, Aliyah. I would like to see more Aliyah, yes. And maybe we should put some more, more effort in that. We must ask for a big effort to bring people home. But I want to tell you that today, the Berlin University, today I'm speaking again about Ayom. The Berlin University has been occupied, not all of them, it's very big, but a part of it by Jewish German students. They sleep over. They put Stars of David everywhere. They say, enough, we will not let them do it. We will not let them push us out. And it is just exactly as when Netanyahu, after they had requested us, ceasefire, don't enter into Rafah, stop with the war, bring more food there inside. They invented any kind of a possible spinning that were diffused everywhere. And Netanyahu answered to them very, very clearly. I think it was the first press conference after the first truce. Yes, and he told them, I hear the European asking us all kind of things. Listen, Europeans, we will not let you decide what we are going to do because there is nothing that comes from you that is good for us in this very moment. Nothing. And we will do only the best that we can for our people. And this is all. Please just stop it. Okay, did not stop it, but I think that our answer must be exactly the same. Listen, European, we don't give a damn, you know what? And this is what we are. We are Jewish, we are strong, and we will be stronger and stronger. We have demonstrated that we win the war. We have won our war. We will continue winning our war, and we will win our war also in Europe. I don't want you to know you are weak and confused. We are not. We know exactly what we want to do, and it is just Am Israel Chai. This is it.